Evening all, welcome to Kicking Dust. Right, this is a funny one. Currently, in fact, let me just address a quick problem that people seem to be having with my videos. I did a video, I think it was Kicking Dust 10. No, it wasn't, it was 11. And it was talking about the changes to Scout and cloaks and things like that. And people were rather flamey of me because I didn't know some of the things the forum had produced. I filmed most of these things a week in advance. So currently this is day one of the Triple SP event. So whenever this whenever this video gets released, just bear that in mind. I should put a little thing in it that just says filmed on, maybe. Anyway, so that's why a lot of stuff has come out since then. Obviously that makes that video a bit stupid. So please bear with me when you have those kind of things. Again, I don't generally, and I don't think any YouTuber does the video on the day then releases it on the day. Maybe a few do, but it's quite rare. Because you have to kind of do it in a bit of a block, and then you schedule them. So there you go, bit of an under the hood there. Anyway, so this really is a summary and I guess a conclusion of thoughts, because I played Dust for probably about 12-13 hours yesterday, and yeah, I wasn't a well man at the end of it because it was it was one hell of an event. But we had some really good games and some kind of startling revelations came through that I'd like to share with you today. So yes, it's going to be one of these talky bollocky ones. Don't worry, no flaming, no trolling, I promise. I think certainly one of the key things I'm noticing that is really becoming quite, I guess, prevalent is the nature of the game. And let me try and explain this without sounding like a complete cocklord, because what I find, I don't know if you ever played things like Counter-Strike, or maybe Counter-Strike, maybe some of those kind of games, where your knowledge of the map would be what gives you that kind of spur, that advantage, let's say. And I think certainly what we're seeing at the moment, I guess to get to the point, what we're seeing at the moment is a lot of people are phenomenally knowledgeable of the weapons they use and their maps. And because of that, we are now kind of in a perpetual time loop. That was breathing. We're in a perpetual time loop where we're kind of just we're perpetuating the same game over and over and over, right? And the reason we're doing it and not getting bored is because of skill points, because of the desire to get into the next biggest better thing. Fit of the months obviously do this, and the nerf buff culture of CCP also facilitates this, because they buff one thing so that everybody then has to play the game to get the skill points to get into the fit of the month. You all know that, I'm sure. And what's interesting is I think this is kind of getting a bit thin now. Don't worry, I'm not going to start spurging. I think it's more just a case that we're having a chat last night in gang, and I think the biggest frustration, I think, is that yes, this is a great game, yes, it's fun, yes, it's enjoyable, but it's the same maps. The only thing that changes is the type. You either play ambush, PC, skirmish, or FW, or domination, but they're all the same. It's either deathmatch or it's capture the point. And the sincerity and the severity of it are all to do solely with what's the outcome of this map. Do you keep a district, or do you win something for your chosen faction, or do you do you just win the money and the skill point? And that's it. That's the game. That's it. That's all we're playing. And I've got to admit, I think somebody kind of asked me the question pretty much, what keeps me playing. And I don't know. I think this is kind of my issue with the playing Dust for 12 hours certainly opens your mind to reality of why am I doing this? It wasn't just a pastime anymore. It was, there's a Triple SP event on, I've got an Amiga booster plugged in and I want to get as many skill points as possible. And that's an interesting point. Hopefully you're with me on this, and a lot of you are probably just saying, shut up you dicklord, and just talk about, I don't know, cock jokes. I won't obviously do that, but I think a lot of people just would say, yeah, I hear what you say, because it does feel kind of odd that for a year now we have played pretty much the same map, almost the same guns, almost the same suits, and certainly the same play styles, because let's face it, PC and domination, skirmish and ambush are a year old in Uprising almost. And I don't know, that just started to make me think that, reality is that maybe, and here's getting to the point finally, maybe we need a third way, fourth, fifth, sixth way, maybe we need a sixth way. And maybe, just throwing an idea out there, maybe that needs to be PVE. Player versus environment is a very important part of any game, and I think it comes with risks, but it also comes with quite an interesting, avenue for the game to go, because let's face it, the only way you can get out of your quarters, your merc quarters at the moment, is to go and fight other dudes. Now, you end up kind of fighting the same game over and over as well, which is, I guess, demoralizing to a degree. So the differing play styles do, stay the kind of boredom a little bit. But what I would suggest to CCP is that what is needed now is a entirely new reason to log into Dust. Okay, now I know people will just be like, lol, want to kill stuff, lol, noob, whatever. That's fine, that's okay. I don't mind being branded a noob. I actually think I'm getting a bit bored of the whole, cycle of, of PvP matches. Counter-Strike I played probably religiously for about a year as well. Then I got bored of it, and I think that's probably where I'd say a lot of the game's going at the moment. It does feel as if it's getting phenomenally repetitive, and I think PvE, even if, and again, let's just talk about the risks of PvE. PvE, as soon as you include a PvE game or function within Dust, you will lose at least half of your players forever into PvE if it pays you money and gives you skill points. So my first suggestion would be that the first generation of PvE would not give any reward at all. It would be a distraction, a test. It could be a tech demo test that's live within Tranquility, within Dust, that tests literally what the behaviors of people do. And that could be the groundwork by which they then grow a kind of whole new generation of the game within. Because, that having that different reason to log in would be quite cool. At the moment, it's fun stomping your enemies and having good fights and all that. But, I would have hoped that the strategy behind this game would be more than just a shooter. What am I talking about? Not a shoot, you know what I mean? It'd be more than just a PvP thing, like a Counter-Strike-esque game. I think they could certainly do CCP with their pedigree should know and would be capable of producing a game of very, very capable PvE element within it. And I think, again, PvE in EVE is incredibly simple. In reality, it's just, spawning of something, you then shoot it, and then you tank it, you use your weapons, and da-da-da-da-da. In Dust, it could be just the same, where it's like a crappy drone, because let's face it, drones are the ultimate, get out of jail free card, because drones are going to be stupid anyway, because they're an AI. Now, not terribly stupid, but not a million, certainly nowhere near as kind of sophisticated as an AI that this game would need. I think it just has to be something relatively simple. And I would also suggest that it would be best done not within the maps as well. Controversial, I know, but the maps are getting very boring. There's just not enough of them. And I don't mean this in a trolly way. I think there's just, there needs to be much more. The maps are huge. I would let the game happen on a much wider basis. I think it was funny because when you look at the original maps like Ashland and Manus Peak, they are relatively compact and bijou when you compare them to the research facility one, which I forget the name of, Border Gulch, is it, or Impact Ridge, those ones. And I think that is where I would put the game. I'd move the game in that trend. I really would. I'd make it a much more kind of I guess bigger maps, more reason to use vehicles, less risk of being kind of, bottled in and killed and that sort of thing. I just think it's maybe more fun. But it could also be that, devil's advocate, that could be even worse. So I would suggest that if there was the ability just to create a relatively, uninteresting but level playing field of a map, literally not as kind of complex as you see here, maybe even without the majority of sockets, maybe just a couple of sockets, then that may be just as good as well, because you could almost, dare I say, procedurally generate that. Just saying, bro. And I think that would then increase the wonder of this game, because again, there's not really any wonder of this game. It's it's a great story, lovely backstory, but it's all very facilitated. Everything is engineered and facilitated and scripted. And I think what I'm sort of looking for is that Eve side of this, which is a much more kind of general, possibility of things shooter. And I don't think we've got anywhere near that yet. I'm sure they will, but just right now, no. There's many other things, and I think really, PVE would be such an interesting thing for this. And again, I think this is probably just because I played for 13 hours probably straight. I played this game, and I think it was like 35, 40 matches. I don't do ambush, so it was literally just like all skirmish and domination. And I did do a few ambushes actually, now I think about it, but it was all a bit kind of samey. And I think after a while I realized, I kind of said to myself, as I was getting tired, why am I doing this? And the reality was, I'm doing it for the skill points. I've become addicted to skill points. That's the majority of the reason I play now, is because firstly I don't want to miss the skill cap every week, even though I rarely do it. I don't want to miss it. I want to try and get my skills as best I can, and I want to then upgrade. But I think certainly as the game develops, it's becoming difficult to see why I'm doing this. There's not much more to skill into, to be honest with you. Almost hitting 30 million skill points. There's very little to do that you can't do once you've got that level of skill points, other than specialized. So, I don't know, it's a funny one. Post in the comments, tell me what you think. I think from my point of view, I do love this game a huge amount still. I think it's a very enjoyable, exciting game, but only in bite-sized chunks. And I think, if we're going to make this a real kind of, community-driven and led game, then we should probably start telling CCP what our thoughts are on PvE. I know the forums is awash with it, but hey, who reads the forums? Lol. But I think really what's needed is that kind of just another reason to go out that captain's rather than Merc's quarters. And I think Eve, when you think about it, you have your captain's quarters, and there's a whole realm of possibilities from what you can do in that quarters. But that's 10 years worth of work. I would like to think that after 1 year's worth of work for Dust, or rather, deployment, that PvE would soon be coming in, because this gives you that reason for a larger group of people to play the game. Again, I would be very, very careful with it, because the worst thing you can do is make PvE pay and give you skill points, because then you will just have whole groups of people who will never fight another person ever again. And I truly believe that, because that is the nature of humankind, is if you can do it the easy way, you will do it. And Dust, as a group, have shown that we will take the easy way. So Railgun Redline tanks, yes please, we'll do that, because hey, it's an easy way. We get our kills, we F somebody up, and that's it. So I think you almost need to kind of, make PvE completely unprofitable. So, and you do lose. So if you lose your equipment in it, you do lose it permanently. I think there should be an incredibly harsh take on PvE to begin with, because you still want people to be running the regular PvP matches, but just make it so that, I have this dream. Let me share my dream with you, that I'm in a dropship. We've got a team of people on that dropship. It's not an assault dropship, because that's actually a reason to not use it. It's like a normal dropship. And we have tank support in the distance, and we have scouts scanning. And what happens is you find a drone nest, you then circle it, you start to move your pieces into play. You don't attack it, you just keep an eye on it. Your tank support moves up, your dropship hovers and keeps an eye on everything, and then all of a sudden you strike, and everybody rushes this little complex. It could be a little building or something like that. A massive fight ensues, and you get pretty much a spawned fight. So every so often they keep spawning, they keep coming, and then eventually you kill the nest, and then boom, you're done. And then that's it, game over. People would love to do that, because it would just show teamwork. It'll be something exciting to do. Yes, you'll take losses, but you know what? It could literally be like, think Dawn of War 2, when no, I've got that wrong. Is it Dawn of War 2, and they did the commander's survival thing. I can't remember what it's called. That little bit where you have to fight as a commander. Just make it like that. It doesn't mean anything, doesn't win you anything, but it's just something else to do. Because if they don't do this, then you're going to see more and more people leave Dust to go to games where you can do that. And I want to say Star Citizen, when it comes out, is going to do all of this. And I think this is something to bear in mind. Anyway, there you go. Hope you enjoyed that. Wasn't a moan, I promise. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.